Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so here's what I want to talk to you about. I want to talk specifically to those of you that have dreams and goals that maybe are far set off. Maybe you've had a goal, a dream, a desire to do something, and you're just not quite sure how it's going to happen for you. Maybe you want to start the business. Maybe you want to write a book. Maybe perhaps you've been thinking about traveling across the world. Maybe you've been trying to figure out how to go ahead and leverage your gifts, your skills, and your talents and make a career from it. And you've been going after this thing now for a little while, or you've been thinking about it for a while, and nothing has happened as of yet. And so let me tell you something. I got a message for you tonight. And the title of this message is Your Time Will Come. If you're a note taker, I want you to go ahead and write that down at the top of the paper. Write it down right now. Your time will come. And so, yes, I know. Sometimes you could get really frustrated because you want something to come to fruition. You have a goal and you have a dream, and you start to put in the time, the effort, and the work, and you're just not producing the results that you want. Or maybe perhaps it's just not happening fast enough. And I just want to remind you that, listen to me carefully on this. Your time will come. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to be catching a flight to Tallahassee, Florida. I'm going back to my alma mater. For those of you who don't know, I graduated from Florida State University. I got my undergraduate degree there, as well as my master's degree. And they're flying me in tomorrow. I'm flying out first thing in the morning, and I'm going to be delivering the keynote speech during one of the master's graduation ceremony. Now, let me sort of go backwards for you just for a moment so I can get you to realize something. I remember being a student at Florida State University, and I remember one particular time when they were bringing in a couple of speakers to the College of Business. I was an accounting major, and I was in the College of Business. And I remember going to one of these sort of speaker series and seeing somebody who was a former Florida State student who was coming back to talk to the alma mater. And I remember literally sitting there, and I could tell you right now, I remember just being in probably about the third row and watching the person that was speaking, that was sharing their personal story, having been a former student at Florida State University, having gone out and made a significant impact in the world through their business or whatever it is that they might be. And I remember sitting there looking and saying, oh my goodness, I just so hope and pray that one day that's going to be me. I remember during my graduation ceremony watching people who are coming up and actually had an opportunity to go ahead and deliver the keynote speech. I remember sitting there during my graduation ceremony and watching the person deliver the keynote speech and saying to myself, my goodness, I only wish and pray that one day that would in fact be me. And let me just tell you, fast forward, and I'm telling you, this didn't happen overnight. Fast forward 15 years later, and my time has come. My opportunity has presented itself. Now I will be the person who is actually delivering the keynote message. And let me just tell you, sometimes when you have something that you want to do, something that you're hoping to accomplish, you have no idea how it's going to happen. You have no idea how it's going to come to realization for you. And so sometimes, because of the fact that you don't know how it's going to happen, it's easy for you to decide to start shrinking in your thinking. It's easy for you to start believing that maybe perhaps that this dream, this goal, this desire that you have is no longer even possible for you. But you have no idea how a sequence of events can be orchestrated to be able to put you in alignment to open up the door for this thing to happen for you. So I share that with you because I don't want you to prematurely give up on your goals and your dreams. I don't want you to prematurely give up on starting the business, on going back to school and getting the other degree, or maybe perhaps finally finding that love of your life and getting married, or getting out of debt, or finding a way to build a 7-figure business, a 6-figure business. I don't want you giving up on that. I don't want you judging the process prematurely, because things will happen that you won't even believe to open up the door and make things happen. And so me being a professional speaker, you would just assume that at this point in my career that I probably have already gone back and spoken at my alma mater and had opportunity to speak at my college. And I have gone back to speak at my college, but it was not the university who brought me back in. It was my fraternity. I am a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, and we had our chapter anniversary, and they brought me in to deliver the keynote message. And let me just help you to see and sort of realize how just the series of events that sort of took place that has presented this opportunity for me to go ahead and deliver this keynote tomorrow at my alma mater at Florida State University. You see, and we're going to go ahead and fast forward, and we're going to go all the way back, right? So I attended an event, an actual leadership conference as an attendee. And as I was sitting down in that leadership conference, I was sitting down in the audience, and there was probably about 400 some odd people who are sitting in the audience. And I remember sitting at that particular conference saying, you know what, I would just absolutely love to be a speaker at that conference. Now, literally 1 year later, I was invited to come in and speak to a group of CEOs, a very small, intimate group. It was probably about 40 people who were in the room. And when I delivered that talk to the group of CEOs, it just so happened that there was a gentleman in that room that was doing a breakout session for that very conference that I told you about that I attended the previous year. And after hearing me speak, here's what he said. He said, "Hey, Andy, do you mind go ahead and joining me as I deliver this breakout session? I would love to go ahead and deliver this breakout session with you. And so I would love to bring you in as the other speaker for my breakout session." Now, this is a breakout session. This is a smaller, intimate group. The main stage is where the real keynote takes place, where there's 400 people in there. But he asked me to be part of a breakout session. We probably had about 50 people in the room. And so I showed up and I helped him go ahead and deliver that breakout session. And lo and behold, we got absolutely off the charts reviews during that breakout session. Well, it just so happened that the person who was over the conference was going back through the reviews and said, "Oh my goodness, who is it that delivered this particular breakout session? Because out of all the breakout sessions, this breakout session had the highest level of reviews." And so the woman who puts on the conference gave me a call and said, "Hey, Andy, listen, we know you did the breakout session." Now, mind you, I wanted to remind you, 2 years before that, I was sitting in the audience and I was just saying to myself, I would love to be the keynote speaker. The following year, I do the breakout session. Now I'm getting a phone call from the lady who runs the conference, who I had already attempted to reach 2 years before that, who I couldn't even get in contact with. Now she's calling me to say, "Andy, listen, you did a breakout session. And after you doing the breakout session, we got tremendous feedback. And we'd like to know if you'd be interested, if we can hire you to go ahead and be our keynote speaker, our closing keynote speaker for the event." There should be about 400 to 600 people in attendance. And so I'm sitting there thinking to myself, and of course I'm like, absolutely, absolutely. Now, watch how this continues. I show up the day to deliver that keynote message. And as I'm about to get ready and they're sort of doing a run through, they're saying, "Hey, Andy, here's the stage. We want to go ahead and introduce you to the AV guys. We don't know, do you want to go ahead and check out the room? We're going to make sure we have your product table. Just want to let you know that, we also have your company as the sponsor for the final session. Is there anything else that you need from us?" And then the lady says, "Oh, yeah, by the way, we want to go ahead and introduce you to the person who is going to introduce you to the audience when you get up to deliver this keynote message." So she walks me over to this gentleman and she goes, "Andy, well, we want to introduce you right now. This is Dean Hartline. We want to introduce you to Dean Hartline." And so Dean Hartline, I meet him just momentarily, and then he goes up and he actually does the introduction. He brings me up on stage. I go up and deliver the keynote. And of course, I do a great job, blessed and fortunate to have done a great job. And it just so happened that the dean who introduced me happens to be the interim dean of the College of Business at Florida State University. And so now I'm delivering a keynote message in front of the interim dean of the College of Business, which I graduated from at Florida State University. And there you go. My time had come. And I'm telling you, I could not have orchestrated the series of events if I absolutely even tried to sit down and strategize for that to happen. It was just my time. I had continued to do the work. I continued to hold on to the vision. I continued to put in the work and develop my craft. And eventually the opportunity presented itself, and the opportunity presented itself in such a way that it was absolutely my time. And I share that with you to make you understand this, that right now you can have a far off goal, a far off dream, something that you're hoping to make happen. And maybe perhaps you don't necessarily have the exact game plan. You don't know exactly how it's going to happen. You don't know how you're going to orchestrate it so that this thing becomes a reality for you. But what I'm trying to tell you is, if you're simply willing to, number one, hold on to the vision, because let me help you to realize this, that it's easy that when you begin to get frustrated, it's easy when things aren't working out your way. It's easy when you get hit with a couple of setbacks for you to start losing focus and let go of the vision, and start to believe that it's not going to happen for you, and start to believe that the doors are not going to open. But what I want to remind you is that you've got to hold on to the vision. You've got to absolutely make sure that you hold on. You see, throughout the time of me leaving Florida State University, every single time I had an opportunity to go back and step foot on campus, I held on to the vision that one day I'm going to be coming back to actually be speaking at the university. I held on to that vision. And periodically I would just think about it. I say, you know what? My time will come. And sure, I could go ahead and try to knock down doors and make phone calls and create an opportunity. But I said, you know what? If I continue to keep the course, if I continue to make things happen, my time will come. And sure enough, things were orchestrated that the dean was sitting in the audience as I was delivering a keynote message down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, at the Broward Convention Center in front of a couple of hundred people. It just so happened that not only was the dean sitting there, but he had the opportunity to read my bio. And as he's reading my bio, he realized, like, wait a second, you mean to tell me that this keynote speaker, not only is he the keynote speaker, not only did I enjoy him, but you mean to tell me that he's also a Florida State University alumni? We have to get this guy into our university. And so my time had come. And so what I want you to understand is that you have no idea what's going to happen, so that you end up being connected to the right person who's going to open up the right door for you. You have no idea what's going to happen that is going to put you in front of the right individuals, that's going to show you the right system and give you the right tools and the strategies and techniques to help you to grow your business to 6 figures, or maybe possibly grow your business to the 7-figure mark. You have no idea what's going to happen. Even if you've gone from one failed relationship to another, you have no idea where you're going to show up, that all of a sudden you're going to meet that special someone, that person that you're going to merge the rest of your life with, that person that you're going to stand at the altar and say, for better or for worse, till death do us part. Listen, don't give up. Your time will come. Hold on to the vision. Don't let it go. Don't let it go. Eventually, your time will come. You know, this past weekend, I had the opportunity to go to a leadership conference, and the gentleman who was actually at the head of this leadership conference, you've probably heard of him, is Mr. T.D. Jakes. And I was watching Mr. T.D. Jakes standing on stage as he was speaking to literally something like 10,000 people who had attended this conference this past weekend that I was at, this leadership conference that I attended. And I was listening to Mr. T.D. Jakes, who was sharing his story, how he remembers when him and his family were living in a 2-bedroom house, a very small home. And he says he remembers when he was first trying to start his ministry, and he would remember that there was maybe just 2 to 3 people who were sitting out in the audience. And he says he could remember just holding on to the vision and hoping that those 2 to 3 people would eventually multiply. And he says that he remembers one particular day when he pulled up into his driveway, when he pulled up home, and him and his wife could instantly realize that, you know what, that the all the lights were off in the home. And he said that he knew for sure that they left some of the lights on. And so what he came to the realization is that their lights had been cut off. And he said in order to try to save face, he remembers just sitting in the car and looking over at the children so that they wouldn't know what was going on. And he said, hey, we're going to play a game, kids. And the kids were too young to realize. He said, here's the game we're going to play. We're going to see who could go from the car and get to their bedrooms and make it to their bedroom without having to turn any lights on. And he said he had to turn it into a game. And he said he was so grateful that the lights were off, because he said the lights hid the tears that were running down his face as he was thinking about the fact that the lights were off in his home, and the fact that he was responsible for taking care of his family, and the fact that he has this big vision that he had for his life. And even though he had a big vision, right now he literally had 2-3 people that he was talking to. And now as he's sharing this story, I'm watching this man who's standing on the stage, and as he's speaking to 10,000 people, which would be considered a average size audience for him, because he has spoken to literally hundreds of thousands of people, to literally stadium fulls of people, and has even flown internationally and been so many different places as a minister, as a businessman, as a movie producer, movie maker, and so forth, and literally has turned into a mogul, an absolute mogul. And listening to him share those days of small beginnings, and realizing as he was sharing that the key thing is that, you know what, if you're willing to hold the vision, and if you're willing to continue to put in the work, and if you can learn to just appreciate the process, that eventually your time will come. And the only reason why he was able to stand on that stage and bring in some of the best thought leaders from across the country, and the reason why he's able to stand on that stage and look out at a sea of people of over 10,000 people who are sitting in the audience, is because of the fact that he understood that eventually, if he was willing to put in the work, that his time would come. And so I want to remind you right now, I don't know where you are in your process. I don't know where you are in your belief system right now. If maybe perhaps you're starting to give up on your goals and dreams, maybe you're starting to think that, you know what, maybe this isn't going to work out for me. Maybe you're thinking to yourself that, you know what, I really want this thing to work, but you know, I keep trying, I keep putting in the time, the effort, Andy, and you don't understand, my business is not necessarily growing, or you don't understand, I've been wanting and meaning to go back to school and get this other degree, but I just haven't been able to make the time, and you understand how much debt I have. I want to get out of debt, but I have no idea how I'm going to make this thing happen. Or I've had one toxic relationship after another, and I want to have someone to call my own. I want to have a healthy, thriving relationship, and I just don't think this is going to happen for me. And so I just want to remind you right now is that, if number one, you continue to hold the vision, but number two, that you do the work in the interim. And so as you hold on to the vision, understand that there's a responsibility on your side, that you've got to be willing to do the work, that you've got to put in the time, the effort, the energy. You've got to continue to work on your craft. You've got to continue to lean in to your goals and your dreams. You've got to continue to show up over and over and over again, even when you're not necessarily producing the results. You've got to continue to pick up the phone and make the phone calls, even after hearing no over and over and over again. You've got to continue to just simply do the work. And let me just tell you, the reason why you have to do the work is because when your time comes, and I believe it is going to come, and when that opportunity presents itself, you don't want to have to say, wait, hold on, I'm not ready. Right. And so what I know is the opportunities present themselves, and they show up for people who've been willing to put in the time. They show up to people who've put in the work. And so, in other words, you've got to train and prepare for the opportunity that you have not yet had. And so those opportunities are going to present themselves. Believe me on this, your time will come. And the only question is, will you be prepared? Will you continue to hold on to vision? Will you continue to do the work? Will you continue to work on your craft? Will you continue to grow your business, to grow your brand, to grow your message, develop your voice? Will you continue to read the books and get the coaches and attend the seminars and the workshops so that you can grow, so that you can stretch to become the person that you're going, and not simply reflect and confine back to your past disappointments and failures and the person that you're looking and hoping to leave behind? Will you continue to do some new things, understanding that if you continue to do what you've always done, you're going to continue to always get what you've always gotten, and understanding that the only way that you're going to get to next level is if you become somebody that you've never been ever in your life. And so what I want to remind you is this, that yes, your time will come. But of course, number one, that you've got to hold on to the vision. Number two, that you've got to continue to do the work. And finally, the last thing that I want to remind you is this, is that you have to learn to enjoy the process. Enjoy the process. Let me tell you something, that you can work so hard to try to get someplace. And if you're not careful, you can allow the whole process to go by. And then you'll get to the moment, and then what ends up happening is the moment will escape. The moment will go away so fast, and before you know it, you've accomplished this goal and this dream, And now you're asking yourself, wow, what next? I wanted so bad to make this thing happen. And now that it happened, it's gone. And I feel like I didn't even make the best of it. I didn't even enjoy the process. And so I remember this in particular. When I remember living down in South Florida, of course, the NBA team, I'm not a big NBA follower, but my NBA team would be the Miami Heat. And so I remember after Dwayne Wade won his second championship ring, when he won his second championship ring with the Miami Heat. I remember him being interviewed, and the interviewer looked at Dwayne Wade and he said, "Hey, Dwayne, man, this is awesome. It's absolutely amazing that you have literally just gotten your second championship ring, man, and you've got so much left in your career." And so he said, "Let me ask you a question, man." He said, "Let me ask you, which one would you say was more meaningful? Which one would you say that you've appreciated the best? The first one, or would you say the second one?" And he said without a second hesitation, he said, "Man, the second one. And he said, the reason why it's the second one, he says, the first one, I took it for granted. He said, the first one, I didn't enjoy the process. He said, I didn't take in the entire process. And then he said, when it happened, I didn't take it all in. I took it for granted. And he said, but this second time, I've learned to enjoy the process. I've learned to take the whole process in. And so now that I finally have gotten in this moment, it means so much more because I've learned to sort of take in the process. And so here's what I know. His time had come, and your time will also come. But I tell you something, that in order for you to really, truly appreciate whatever it is that you're pursuing right now, so whether you're trying to write the book, whether you're trying to get a business off the ground, whether you're trying to hit the 6-figure mark, the 7-figure mark, whether you're trying to finally find that special someone, that along this process, along this journey where you got to stretch and you got to grow and you got to make some things happen, I want to remind you to enjoy the process, to take the whole process in, to just take it all in, because before you know it, it'll be over in an instant. Before you know it, I can tell you right now, as some of you know, that, I recently released my book, Show Up for Your Life, 7 Principles to Living an Extraordinary Life. And of course, if you don't have your copy of the book yet, I want you to make sure that you get a copy of the book. You can go to showupforyourlifebook.com. Once again, you can go to showupforyourlifebook.com, or you can go to amazon.com or barnesandnobles.com. But you can go to any one of those sources to be able to get your copy of the book. But I tell you this, I remember going to a book launch for one of my friends, and I remember sitting there watching and saying, man, this guy's having an amazing book launch, seeing the amount of people that were there, watching him deliver his talk, watching him sit down and sign the books and so forth. And I remember just saying to myself, man, one day I want to be a published author, but not just that. I want to have a successful book launch like this, where I'm signing and autographing the books and so forth. And I tell you, I had my book launch, and we were expecting anywhere from 80 to 100 people show up to the private book launch party, and we had over 200 people show up, and I was just absolutely blown away. And so that particular moment, because of the amount of people that were there, let me just tell you that, it went by like lightning fast, because there was so many people there, so many people that I was saying hi to, so many people I was giving hugs to, so many books that I was having to autograph and so forth. It went by at lightning speed. For those of you who've ever had a major event, maybe you remember your wedding or a major event, you know that those particular events will go by so fast. And so if you don't take a moment to just appreciate the process, a moment to take it all in. And so that evening was going by so fast, I had to come to the front of the room and just look and see how the room was jam-packed and see the look on over 200 plus faces, to take it in for a moment. Because I've learned that you've got to learn to appreciate the process, because guess what? Even though that, the book sales and everything would continue and opportunities would continue, but that one moment is gone, and I'll never be able to get that one moment back. And so I've learned that you've got to appreciate the process, that you've got to learn to take it all in. And so I just want to remind you that, yes, your time will come. And as you continue to go after your goals and your dreams, I just want to remind you of this, that as you go through that process, is that you've got to, number one, hold on to the vision. Hold on to the vision. Hold on to the vision. Don't let it go away. Yes, you want to write the book. Yes, it's going to happen for you. And maybe it's not happening for you yet, but it's going to happen. Yes, the business is going to happen for you. Yes, you will be able to find a successful and have a happy, successful marriage. If you're not married right now, your time will come. It will, in fact, come for you. But you've got to hold on to the vision. Don't give up on your goals and your dreams. Don't talk yourself out of it. And don't let anybody else talk you out of your goals and your dreams. And now, the other thing is you got to do the work. And so opportunities will present themselves to those who are willing to do the work, for those who put in the time, the effort, the energy, for those who are committed to working on themselves. So continue to put in the work to have the successful business. Continue to put in the work in order to have the powerful book and be published. Continue to do the work so that you can have a happy, fulfilling marriage. Continue to do the work. Don't stop working. You got to put in the work. So when the opportunity comes, you'll be ready to seize it and make things happen. And then finally, learn to appreciate the process, because your time will in fact come. But I'm telling you, overall, and Jim Rohn said this, it's not about reaching your destination, but it's who you become in pursuit of the destination. It's who you become in the journey as you push forward and you go after your goals and your dreams. Because most of the time, who you are at the beginning of the journey and who you are at the end is entirely different, because you can't get there unless you grow, unless you stretch, and unless you make things happen. And so I just want to remind you that as you go through the process, don't take the process for granted. Learn to take it all in and appreciate it, because guess what? Once you accomplish the goal and the dream, guess what's going to happen? There's going to be something else that you're going to want to go after. And so it never really stops. As we go through this thing called life, we're always looking to raise the bar. We're always looking to take things to the next level. And so let me just tell you this. I am so excited that you decided to go ahead and tune in. I just want to remind you that, listen, your time will come. And you know this wouldn't be Andy Enriquez if I didn't end by telling you this. Show up for your lives, ladies and gentlemen, because if you don't, listen, if you don't, nobody else will. All right. Well, listen, I am so grateful and thankful that all of you decided to be part of the Show Up for Your Life motivational movement. I want to remind you, for those of you, if you are not yet connected, you can go ahead and connect with me right away. Here's what you got to do. Just simply go to showupforyourlife.com. And when you get there, you'll see a pop-up box pop up, and you can simply put in your name and your email address. And that's going to allow me to continue to send you inspirational messages, provide you with content, information, videos, to allow you to be able to take your business to the next level, to allow you to be able to strengthen your voice, to be able to share and tell your stories, and bring your message to the marketplace. Also, you know, I'm super excited. I've been getting some tremendous feedback, getting voicemails, also getting emails, and also been able to see some of the reviews on Amazon from people who've gotten their hands on the book and have already read the book. And I'm so excited because we know a lot of people get books and they don't read. I'm super excited. People are reading the book and getting tremendous value from the book. So I want to go ahead and invite you to get a copy of my book, Show Up for Your Life, 7 Principles to Living an Extraordinary Life. And here's how you're going to do that. Just simply go to showupforyourlifebook.com. Once again, that is showupforyourlifebook.com. Get your copy of the book. I can assure you that you are going to absolutely enjoy the book. I share 7 powerful principles that, regardless of where you are in your life, whether you're somebody who's trying to get to the next level, or if you are soaring high in the sky and you're just trying to find something to allow you to continue to maintain a level of achievement and get to that place, this is the book for you. These 7 principles will help you to go from having just simply a mediocre life to making sure that you are living life full out, to making sure that you are absolutely showing up. Woody Allen said that 80% of success is simply showing up. Most people are going through life and they're just simply going through life, going through the motions, and they're not fully showing up. They're not seizing the opportunities. They're not exercising their goals and their gifts. They're not doing everything that they can to make a tremendous impact. And so if you're ready to make an impact, if you're ready to take your life to the next level, this is the book for you. Go to showupforyourlifebook.com and get your copy of the book. I'm looking forward to hearing your feedback as you read through that book. And of course, last but not least, I want to remind those of you to go ahead and join our private group, our private Show Up for Your Life community. You can do that by simply opening up another web browser and typing in showupgroup.com, showupgroup.com. That's going to take you to our private Facebook page. And when you get there, just send us a request to join the page, and we will gladly go ahead and have you enter the page. And that's going to be with a place where you can go ahead and interact with the other members of the group. Now, here's what we'll do, because as you all know, something that we love to do is open up the lines for people who are